So thank you, everyone, for being here. I'm Wendy. This is Dave. My husband, Dave. I'm so excited and nervous today. I'm Wendy Wolf Yellen. This is Dave Yellen. Thank you. I am overjoyed at the outpouring and the people that are here from literally all over the world. It is a planetary celebration. Welcome to the 70th anniversary of World Contact Day. It's as if I was born to just be here today, as every one of you are. I am just winging it here.
About World Contact Day. World Contact Day was first declared in 1953 by an organization known as the International Flying Saucer Bureau during this worldwide day of meditation and telepathic intent for intergalactic peace, open contact, love, and oneness. Do this with no insistence, no assumptions, and just allowance. Calling occupants of interplanetary craft. Calling occupants of interplanetary craft that has been observing our planet Earth. Calling all multidimensional and extraterrestrial beings within our awareness and those we have yet to unlock and discover.
We recognize that you have answered our call and that we would like to crystallize these connections into the now of our physical reality. We allow ourselves to consciously come into more awareness, more recognition, and more realization in coming to know ourselves more fully in all ways. A new, channeling, open contact. Yeah, let's just say a new way of world contact. How about that?
All right. 2023, more contact. It's happening. Here we are.
I guess I'm going to start with briefly describing how I became a hybrid. And in the larger sense, we're all hybrids because all of us are from the stars. Contact can take place in various ways. So star beings can come through dreams. I work with a lot of people who have star beings coming through dreams, who might actually appear to them when they're taking a walk somewhere. And also, obviously, seeing starships, being taken onto a starship. So there's a wide variety of ways for contact to happen. In my DNA, I have the 7 different varieties of star beings because there's 7 different races. And so I was genetically enhanced, which then I kind of refer to as a hybrid. So within my physical body, within my DNA, my etheric bodies, my multidimensional selves, that DNA manifested. They love unconditionally. So I've been very fortunate to have really positive experiences. And so I started being taken aboard the ship when I was about 3 years old. Absolutely loved being on the ship. And I actually had a hard time coming back to Earth when they would send me back to Earth because it was like bliss. It was like heaven. And on the ship, there's no time or anything. So it was like I was on the ship floating. I wasn't really walking. And the beings on the ship would float also above what we could call the floor. And on the ship I was with, everyone loved unconditionally, which was an amazing experience. So I was taken aboard the ship starting around the age of 3 up through my teens, and even after that, many, many, many nights. And so I had the wonderful opportunity to, I should say, really remember, reconnect with the star beings on the ship. There was a wide variety of races. There were, again, the tall white Zeta Masters, not to be confused with the tall whites that Charles Hall talks about in Nevada. These beings are different. They are about 5'5", shimmering white skin, almond dark eyes. And so being on the ship, I was really allowed to be who I was, which was a real gift to me.
So it's just all these sevens today. So I had to say that when you
and
said
it's the number
seven,
of the year 2023 when
yes, it's a
brought
7
down to
year.
a 7. So this is also referencing where this energy is coming from. So we're
Yes.
all familiar through either New Age spirituality or just our educational system in elementary
That's
school. Humanity, right? Humanity is existing as source and then descends down into physicality. And when I say humanity, I'm not just referring to us. I'm referring to all sentient extraterrestrial beings. They are also humanity. It's important we expand our sense of what humanity is. Aliens are humans, right? We have to keep that in mind. If it is a sentient form of life, we would describe it as human consciousness. And the reason I say so right now is because when we're doing all of this energetic work and play, and we're doing these contact exercises, we're raising the frequency of the grid. So it becomes easier for everybody to fully activate the heart center, which activates the full humanity within the person. Parameters that are needed to have these physical face-to-face UFO encounters in a global way.
We actually are the extraterrestrials. This consciousness is not of Earth. It didn't evolve through the monkeys from protoplasm in a little warm pool and sparked by lightning, that whole Darwinian theory. It descended from the source into these embodiments. This is my feeling. I mean, there's no way to prove it at this point, but because are connected to the stars. This is why the temples, the early temples, you know, the word temple means reflection of the stars. Those beings that are coming here, they are us. I mean, they are us making contact, like my book says, is making contact with the true potential of who we are as human beings. So when Jacqueline shows us these light codes, or you speak in light language, Wendy, you are coding us with another level of cognition. So getting back to what Jacqueline is showing us, she is showing us these images, or what you're doing with light language. You're infusing us with cognition. We don't know what that means because we don't recognize it, but we're being exposed to the cognitive awareness of what that potential is. So you do light language, we feel it, and then we start to recognize it. It becomes part of our repertoire of perception. And that is what channeling is. That is what people are bringing in, new consciousness. They're starting to download this. And there are concepts sometimes that we don't understand because it hasn't been in the cognitive field. But the more we expose each other and ourselves to this new way of thinking, the more it's integrated into our mental capacity, into our cognitive field. And this is how society and us, as at the forefront of the contact experience, are making contact, because we're cognizing new realities. The new realities is welcoming us to perceive it.
Wonderful to be here with you all in these blending moments together in this day of our time. It is a joy to have this opportunity to explore more of the infinite that we all are, more of the unconditional love that is all of our actual nature. And with this in heart and mind, this timing, I will share a couple of ideas around the idea of World Contact Day 2023. Contact and life with beings from other civilizations, with Earth humans and humans from other planetary locations. This is something that has occurred in other eras on this planet. More joy comes through when we invite these aspects of ourselves to be a part of this life in the moment, spontaneously, that it just occurs easily to come together, to embrace spontaneously. And the more we know that these other aspects of us exist, the more effortless it becomes for the spontaneity in the gathering, in the embrace. The holding, the supporting together more easily, spontaneously happens. We don't necessarily have to plan and organize the time to come together to do it. It just happens organically, spontaneously, through the intelligence that exists always on these more expansive levels of our beingness. Only to allow ourselves to be more in contact with this, to be more in contact with this, you could say, extraterrestrial consciousness. Expansive terrestrial consciousness is another way to call it. More joy comes through when we invite these aspects of ourselves to be a part of this life in the moment, spontaneously, that it just occurs easily to come together, to embrace spontaneously. And the more we know that these other aspects of us exist, the more effortless it becomes for the spontaneity in the gathering, in the embrace.
I'm really thinking, like, what is the most thing we can do to accelerate extraterrestrial contact, either on a personal level or a group level? And the conclusion that I came to was that I was kind of thinking from their perspective, like, what would be the most we could do to make them want to, like, reach out with us and, like, have, like, open contact even sooner. And it's almost like they've got like this graph, and they've got a line on the graph that says collective earth frequency ready for open contact, initiated it. But it's something they did, like doing a cross or something. I just felt the consciousness of Christ or the Holy Spirit, I guess it was the consciousness of Christ, to come, like, into the room, and it was very, very palpable. It was extremely strong and extremely palpable. And so this is kind of the point I'm getting to, that we're basically shifting into, like, the fifth dimension now, or fourth density, like this called Avatars of the Phoenix Lights, that this craft over Phoenix in 1907 that was seen by thousands of people was the Yael. So can you share a bit about what happens from the perspective of the book and the information that came through in the book?
Yeah, so most of the book is just they're talking about their civilization and who they are and what's of value to them and how they interact with other civilizations and with their individuals, and how they wasn't so much about the flying over that sighting. The book isn't so much about flying over. Actually, there were other states. It wasn't just Phoenix. So I've spoken to people who live in the state, and they saw it. They were in different areas. So there were people way up in Flagstaff and people over in Paulden. It's down in Tucson and Phoenix. So it was sightings, and it was multiple days where there was not the big craft per se, but there were smaller craft that were sighted days leading up to the one that we now call, I think it was like March 13th, 1997. So there were sightings of smaller craft before that day in other areas. So it's something that was, thousands of people have reported seeing that. And so it's not so much, the book isn't so much about their flying over. And I have done, it's more about them. It's more about the Yael civilization, what they're like, what they're about. And I have done some channeling about that, where they were flying over. And it's been a while. think there was a channeling on the Big Island of Hawaii where people were really asking Aishu about that a lot. So a lot came through, and it was all about, the lights themselves. It's not just a light. Like we have a light outside our door. We turn on a light so we can see where we're walking. They imbue the light. So there were individuals on the craft who were gathered, and they were in like a group meditation with the intention through the lights to send consciousness to the people who see the lights, people on Earth. And it is, in that sense, it's kind of like what we're doing now. We're sharing this information for others to help uplift them if they're interested in it, if they connect with it. And so they're doing that as a group meditation, and they're sending it through the lights. And so the Phoenix lights isn't just lights, there's consciousness that they were bringing through. And some of that is to help with the idea of an activation for people to be more open and aware that there's life beyond Earth, and that it can be very loving and supportive life. And so there's kind of like this invitation that was sent through the light. And that's, so the Phoenix lights is enlightenment as well as physical light. And they were consciously, as a group, some of them on the ship, that was their intention. They were sending enlightenment through the lights of the craft. I remember that stands out. But it's been a while since I've heard that channeling.
Sean, I've never heard anybody ever say that. Like,
very, I guess, conducive to the energy that I'd like to bring to the call, which is fun and joy and unconditional love. So just take a few deep breaths. Breathe in the evening air, or whatever time of day it is where you are. Afternoon, evening for most of us, I believe.
Nyaso, ishe neva helinia kusete. Londo arina neva huruesha na sevato. Misero diaro kujieva shaya hayawala kisevesea. Mesheto niavaku. Si meseve shea yivaru yavaso. Meheya ti avasala katevaso no yavara kishi. Nihia. Nava seia ina yawaku. Plashete sevilando versoto. Meshea yana rueva nolondar vesaria nona via. Nehe soloku. Savishenia. Toya. Taviala. So. Ivandia la ultieva enameala. Esse saberondo. Evashea. Tea. No haya to ondo. Fashion aqui. Lese soma sate alawara. Nashe iliki saviana. Tieshu.